Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friendly neighborhood Oxhorn, and I'm here in Hangman's Alley today to show you 5 practical machines that you can build with Contraptions Workshop that will actually make your settlement more productive or more efficient. And first on the list today is the grenade launcher. So the grenade launcher works by hooking up a pitching machine to a switch. And what you do is you put grenades in the pitching machine, and when the switch is triggered, you'll get some grenades. So let's go ahead and repair this switch. And there we go. So I've got a switch ready and activated. It's powered through a variety of different mechanisms. There's my power generator right there. The power goes directly to the switch. The switch then goes to this conduit, which leads all the way to the grenade launcher. So let's put something interesting in here. Let's put in some, I don't know. How about some synth beacon grenades? Now we just need something to trigger the tripwire. So let's jump over here, and then I'm going to summon some raiders. Whoa! So my settlers are getting busy, but I want to see. There we go. And now for the synths. Now that's interesting, but here, let's spice things up a little bit. I have some hallucinogen gas grenades. Let's see what those do.
Look at all the blood. What just happened? Light him up.
And so the nature of the hallucinogen gas grenades is that they confuse people, right? So people start attacking the wrong person, and my settlers even attacking me now. But you can see, at least with the setup that I have here, the grenades are reaching even all the way out here. And the raiders are attacking each other.
Gotta be joking. Time's up, bitch. Think I'm scared?
And there we go. Now that the dust has settled, that is one way that you can go about using the pitching machine to create an effective grenade launcher. Now, obviously there are a couple of drawbacks. And one is that, like, what if the raiders run past from where the switch is? So here's where the body pile-up is. But the switch is right here, right? So theoretically, they could just run right through it, trip it, and then they're already beyond where the grenades go. But I find that that's not something too terrible to worry about, because what raiders tend to do is hide behind things or crouch and try and shoot you from around a corner. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. As long as you've got a narrow passage like this that they're forced to go through so that they will trip the trigger, they should get some of the area of effect damage of the grenades. Wow, that hallucinogen gas works for a long time. My settlers are mad. Goodness gracious. Alright, so there's machine number 1, a functional, practical grenade launcher. Next up is the recycler. Now what the recycler does is it takes all of the junk from your workshop and it breaks it down into that junk piece's base components. Now this does require the need of a mod, because the mod, Manufacturing Extended, allows you to create this recycler machine. And the recycler is what breaks down regular items into their base components. But everything else comes with Contraptions Workshop. You basically just hook up a vacuum hopper to your workshop. It starts sucking out all of the junk and scrap that you've been collecting. Oh look, looks like we have a logjam here. That you've been collecting over the months of playing this game. It feeds it into the recycler, and then the recycler breaks it down. We've got bone, screws, crystal, copper, all of the base components for everything that's in your workshop. And the reason that this can be important is because when you use the workshop interface to build things, there's a rumor that the game doesn't give you full credit for all of the components that are in all of the items that you break down. So you could have a life preserver, which gives you like plastic and rubber, but when you build something that consumes rubber in your workshop, sometimes it only gives you rubber and not giving you the plastic. So if you break down all of the scrap in your workshop first, then you know that you're going to get 100% use out of all of the components and materials that's in all of the scrap that you've scrounged over the many months, and then you can just dump it back into your workshop. Now, the way I have this set up is it's just putting stuff into a storage container, and the reason I have it set up like this is because I want to make sure that the recycler recycles all of the junk in my workshop first before it starts cycling through all of the base components that it generates. If I send this to the workshop directly right now, after it's broken down, then the game might just get confused and start dumping out a bunch of silver or dumping out a bunch of plastic components that really don't need to be broken down. So I break down all the junk and scrap first before putting all of the scrap back in the workbench. The next machine is the automatic weapons forge. And the way this works is you use this component extractor, which comes with the mod that I mentioned earlier. And what this does is this breaks down junk in your workshop, but only spits out components that you specify. So as you see inside the extractor, I've got adhesive, oil, gears, springs, screw, and steel. So the only items that'll come out of this are those items. And the reason for that is because I have this attached to a weapons forge that's programmed to generate 10mm pistols. And as you can see, it's automatically generating the pistols. Now, those components that I have inside the component extractor are exactly what's required to generate 10mm pistols. So let's say you want to outfit all of the settlers in your settlement with better weapons than the pipe weapons that they spawn with. You could set up a forge like this, an automatic forge like this, that will start running whenever you enter the settlement. And all you have to do is go to the workshop and dump all the junk that you collected that day from a variety of dungeons, and the component extractor will only extract the components necessary to forge the weapons that you have programmed this weapons forge to generate. In this way, you can set up automatic weapons production in your settlement. And this works with a variety of things. You could set up automatic armor production. You could set up automatic component production, like adhesive, for example. You could set up automatic clothing production. So there are a lot of options that you can use this particular machine for. Next up is a two-way switch for a garage door. And this was a bit tricky to do since conduits just don't function the way they should. I'll share with you the struggles that I had. So I built this little greenhouse to have a lot of light on the inside, and I wired electricity to this conduit right there, which goes inside. So I used the pass-through conduit. You see how this passes through the wall? This long conduit piece right here actually passes through the wall. So the way that I wired this is I wired directly to the one that passes through first. Let's turn on the switch to open the gate, and I'll show you what I mean. So the electricity comes through this conduit first. It then goes down to this switch, and that makes sense. So I can flip this switch, and it closes the door. And the reason for that is because I then wire this conduit around to this piece right here, and then wire it to this piece that passes through the wall to the outside, which then I wire to this corner piece, which I wire to the switch, and the switch is wired to the garage door. So let me try and say this again. The garage door needs power. If it has power, it will open. The garage door is that top conduit right there, which is connected to the switch. Now this switch is only powered through this roundabout jerry-rigged way that I have done it, through this wall. So I can flip this switch, and that cuts power to the garage door. This gives me an external switch. But since I have it wired through this jerry-rigged sort of situation, I can also cut this switch, and that removes power as well, which closes the door. So that is how you can get an inside switch and an outside switch for the garage door. Now, obviously, this doesn't look very good. It's very messy. I just put this together as a proof of concept to give you an example of how the pieces can be used in concert to get what you want. And you would want to find a more beautiful way of piping in the conduits so you don't have this big nasty mess. Or what you may want to use is logic gates instead of conduits to get this to work. You could probably use the OR gate to say that we need power from this or that to power this switch. So there are a lot of different ways that you could do this, but this is one way that you can have an inside and outside switch that powers the garage door. All right, the last thing I want to show you is a three-way switch. So I built this sort of hallway to demonstrate how this works. And let's say that you're coming home at the end of the day and you enter the home and you go, oh man, it's dark, I need to turn on some light. So you flip the switch and the light comes on. Great. Now you round the corner and your bed's over here and you go, oh man, I want to go to bed, but it's so bright in here. And yet I don't want to go around this corner to turn off the light because I'm lazy. I want to just flip the switch. Great, and it turns off. Now, the way that I achieved this was using the logic XOR gate. The logic XOR gate says that exactly one input must have power. If two inputs have power, it turns off. If two inputs have no power, it turns off. So that's how you're able to get this to work. But there are some bugs which make this really frustrating and less useful. And the reason that there are bugs is because the logic gate gets confused when the input is routed through a number of other conduits. So I have the power coming in through these conduit pipes just fine. So taking a look at this, there's this pylon, and power is coming from my engine room all the way to this pylon, and then it's piped through this wall pass-through conduit. And then the wall pass-through conduit sends power up and along this wall over here, which directly powers the switch, and then down and along the floor to here, which directly powers that switch. So that's how the power is getting to each of the switches. But in order to get the logic gate to work, I had to power the red input of the logic gate directly from the switch. If I didn't, even though the power is exactly the same, it wouldn't work. So let me show you how this bug, and I'm happy to call this a bug, works in the real game. So let's put on just one wall conduit there and one wall conduit there. And then all we're going to do is remove the direct wiring from the logic gate to the switch to this conduit. So the switch therefore goes to that power conduit, and that power conduit goes to the input of that logic gate. And we'll do the same here. Remove that wire. The power is still the same, but the switch is going to be routed through this conduit first, and then that is going to go directly to the input. So there we go. Theoretically, the power should be exactly the same. If this was in the real world, it would be exactly the same. But let's try it. And nothing. I've got one power, and the prerequisites for this switch say that you have to have one power, that only one input may be powered. And it is powered, but it's not turning on. And then we can turn this one on. And yeah, it gets confused. It recognizes that there's power, but it also recognizes that the qualifications for the logic aren't in effect, therefore it's not emitting power to turn on our lights. So, in order to get it to work, which is just stupid, we have to remove the wall conduits, which we just placed to kind of make our wiring a little better, and instead wire the switch directly to the input. If we do that, we can then get it to work. Flip that. Light turns on, come around the corner, flip that, light turns off. So it took me a while to figure this out, ladies and gentlemen, but there you go. This is how you make a three-way switch on the inside of a building. Now, I'm sure there are very clever people watching this video who can find a way to kind of organize this to make it look a little better without all these wires going everywhere. But this is the base wiring necessary to get a three-way switch to work so that you can manipulate power from any part of the room. So there you go. That's a fifth final functional working machine that has a practical purpose that you can use in Contraptions Workshop. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, 5 real machines that have a practical purpose that you can create using Contraptions Workshop in your settlements. 2 of them do require mods, the Recycler and the Automatic Weapons Forge, but the rest of them you can make with just the base components that come with Contraptions Workshop. Let me know in the comments below if you thought these were useful or if you've got some tweaks that I could do to perfect these machines that I've created, and let me know if you've got any other machine ideas that we could do in future episodes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Please subscribe for more Fallout 4 and Contraptions Workshop content. Your subscriptions keep this channel alive. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.